Good evening.
How's it
Bank
going?
holiday weekend.
Yeah, the end of another.
The end
bank
of.
holiday.
This is probably the latest we've recorded one of our posts. We're on Monday night of the weekend.
Yeah, so it's still the weekend because we're on sort of bank holiday time, so no one really knows what day of the week it is. And I was off Friday as well, so it's just I don't know, kind of one of those sort of things. It kind of is like, oh yeah, we haven't actually kind of done it this weekend, and there's quite a few sort of bits to talk about for episode 11.
We're doing well. We haven't
I
missed
know.
one yet.
I know, it's amazing. It's amazing we managed to get to 11, to be honest, as well.
We're still committed.
Yeah, well, we haven't been kind of shut off the interweb yet either.
It happened, don't worry.
But yeah, so 11s, what have you got?
Well, it's been. I was fully prepared for this on Friday, and we never got around to recording Friday. So it's been NFL draft weekend. So my focus has been on a number 11 draft picks, to which probably the biggest name of recent years is JJ Watt, was taken at number 11 a few years back. There is a few. Obviously, I'm very unsubtly wearing my Fulham shirt an hour and a half after they've been promoted in the most incredible style by winning 7-0.
Amazing. How many did Mitrovic get today?
Hey?
How many did Mitrovic get today?
2. 43 on the season.
7.
Yeah, 104 in total now for Fulham. So, but it did remind me, though, when they were coming on to do their celebrations, Fulham's current number 11, who I probably would not have been able to tell you off the top of my head because he is very obscure, is Anthony Knockaert. And let's just say he's not played too many games this season. So he's definitely more obscure number 11. I think I wrote down 4.
Our number 11 at Spurs right now is Brian Hill, who's currently on loan at Valencia, I want to say. Because they signed him last year because Lamela was number 11 before. And then so they sold him in the swap deal, and then Hill came in as 11, and then they shipped him straight back out again. But there were some really bad ones for Spurs going back, like Sergei Rebrov, Ronnie Rosenthal, Chris Armstrong, Stefan Dalmat, Van der Vaart, probably the best one, I guess. Kind of going back.
The best Fulham one for me is obviously our current assistant manager, Luis Boamorte. He was also our number 11 on kind of those early Premiership years, if I'm being really Fulham patriotic. But no, I'm sticking with JJ Watt for my number 11 pick.
It's quite big in terms of sport and stuff general, because obviously the Premier League's kind of starting to get more exciting things. Obviously with Liverpool City, and they could end up playing each other in Champions League final as well. You got the Spurs Arsenal battle. You still got the relegation thing going on. The NBA playoffs are into the second round. The NHL playoffs are just starting.
And now, so on NHL playoffs, I'm chatting with Brett Kissel on Thursday. So my team, Calgary, have got into the playoffs. His team, Edmonton, have got into the playoffs.
Yeah.
He does a few times. He does do national anthem singing for Edmonton as well. So I don't quite know how we're going to keep it on country music, but that will be in this feature next week. I will be chatting with Brett Kissel. So we will see how much country music we talk in a half an hour time slot and how much is talking about NHL and touring.
Yeah. And so, just kind of what we said, the sort of draft sort of took place, and for continuity purposes, this year's number 11 was Chris Olave, wide receiver from Ohio State, was drafted by the New Orleans Saints at pick 11, which they traded up and got the pick from the Washington Commanders. Nearly called them.
Yeah, they are the Commanders, aren't they? And the Saints are playing in London, I think, this season.
But those games will get announced really soon because the full fixtures come out on May the 12th. So I think
it's normally the weekend before. Literally.
So I think they're going to announce the London ones kind of before that.
Yes, it's normally the weekend they announce it, and then the midweek is the main schedule.
Yeah. This is, again, going back on some of the feedback that people had sort of said, that we do talk a little bit about sport and not really much about music and kind of thing. So obviously sort of going on. And the other thing that was picked up with our last episode is when we spent a lot of time talking about coffee and the new Tim Hortons opening in London, we're not actually sure if we said properly whereabouts in London it will be. So if we didn't, it's Park Royal. And if we did, it's a timely reminder that there'll be a Tim Hortons opening in Park Royal.
Which,
so
for those who don't know, is Wembley, basically.
Yep.
Halfway between Brentford and Wembley.
Yeah, that's kind of like this sort of, big sort of UK news, really. We're kind of going into May, which is a completely mad month in terms of tours going. It's really strange to sort of see that people have already seen some of these gigs and things that we've got coming up that kind of none of them have kind of started in London. So Ashley McBryde plays the Roundhouse on Wednesday up in Camden.
Yeah, and she's just finished in Ireland, isn't it?
Yep. Keith Urban, I think he opened in Birmingham. I saw a lot of people going to the show there. He played up in Newcastle, but he's got 2 shows at the Apollo in Hammersmith on Friday and Saturday. Brothers Osborne are around next week as well. Brett Eldridge is around next week. We've got like the Vacancy Records with Ashley Campbell. They're doing like a little tour, and also something going on down at Great Escape that those guys are putting on too. And then we've got Midland over in a couple of weeks. So it's quite a wild month, really.
So, yeah, if you want to see, obviously, what to expect from Ashley McBryde, we've been tagged in a few posts from one of our friends over in Germany. Florian, he's been over here doing photography for her Ireland shows. So I'll make sure I'll put the description in. But, yeah, Florian Senger. So check him out on Instagram because he's got some great posts, pictures that he's been putting us in from those shows. So it looks like it's going to be a hell of a night for anyone going to the Ashley McBryde shows. And so we get Wednesday night, and we will be there doing photography as well.
Yes.
We've recruited our photographer back. She's coming along for that one for us as well. So expect, some nice photos up on the website soon, as we'll be heading back into the pit for that one.
Yeah, so that's Wednesday. It's the Roundhouse is a venue I can never actually sort of remember too much about being inside, because like the gig I remember most vividly from there was Carrie Underwood's like iTunes like festival set, and I'd gone with some of my friends that were really big sort of Carrie. It was a really rainy, horrible day, and we ended up sitting outside for a couple of hours. And it's like you sort of think it's like, why did you look back, and it's like, sort of things you look back on. It's like, why was I ever thinking that? But yeah, because that was the first time that Cam came over as well. So Cam opened up for them. And then Carrie, it was a really good night. I remember kind of like one of the big things in that set, like when she did See You Again, she sort of blended in like the Wiz Khalifa like version of See You Again, where she started rapping going through, which was pretty cool.
Now I've only ever been to, it was Thomas Rhett is the only time I've been there, and he had Old Dominion supported him. Yeah. And it was an absolute farce getting in.
Yeah.
And it's almost
I
think a few times they just don't seem to expect people to be turning up. I don't think they'd kind of told the venue people are going to come to see the support act, and it's probably one of those few times that really the support act at that time is probably almost as big, and people knew they were going to be as big as the main act, and everyone wanted to get in to see Old Dominion.
Yeah,
and just they were not ready for it. They had like one person on the door
supporting at these gigs coming up. I haven't heard people talking about who's opening for Ashley or for Keith or Midland or for Brett or Bros Oz kind of coming up with those gigs and things. So hopefully, let's say Wednesday we'll sort of know more.
Yeah. And
then obviously with Keith kind of over the weekend. But in regard to people that are going on tour and supporting other people, Lindsay L, who's over for Long Road kind of later this summer. Obviously, she's been really busy doing all the stuff with Canada's Got Talent recently. She's going to be jumping on the Cadillac Free Tour and opening up for their UK dates that come in kind of later this year, kind of around that sort of Long Road time, which is really, really good that obviously Lindsay's coming back, because we sort of love that. She's got new music on the way. She put out a brand new single last week called Right on Time, which is very, very much her. It's it's really fantastic. It's positive. It's got a lot of kind of her sort of typical guitar sound, and it's it's sort of a great introduction of like what's going to be sort of coming in terms of new stuff from her. So it's always really, really fun to see that Lindsay's got new music coming for us, which was very nice. Yeah, so we're kind of at the Keith shows kind of next weekend and things. I'm at Ashley on Wednesday. We're both going to Brett Eldridge the following week.
You're doing the week after, isn't it?
Yeah, Midland. You're doing a Kingston little show. I'm
That's
doing,
a good one. I'm looking forward to that.
and I don't even know where like the London, are they at the Roundhouse as well?
Yes, I think so.
Yes. Oh, so it'd be back to, lots of time up in Camden coming up. It's fun. Not that I need an excuse to be going up there. So that's kind of, you know, all that's sort of going on, and we'll sort of know who's kind of open those sort of things when we sort of go, and we can kind of feed back into that. As well as Lindsay bringing out music last week, there's been, you know, quite a few other sort of tracks that kind of dropped on Friday. We had a new single out from Matt Stell. We had a single from 49 Winchester, which is kind of leading into that album project, which is going to be on the way very shortly. Darius Rucker, who again is been working on new music, that's going to be sort of coming with an album at some point later this year. Same Beer, Different Problem was the track that he shared on Friday. And we've had a new track from Caroline Jones as well, who's obviously going to be jumping back with Zach Brown, kind of playing as part of the Zach Brown band, kind of, you know, through a lot of their sort of dates and things. She's got a really cool, like, little, very bluegrassy, very different kind of sound to it. A lot of what you've kind of heard from her in the past. It still sounds exactly like her, like, you know, vocally and kind of, you know, the way it sort of comes across. But, you know, for someone that's very used to like big production and kind of lots of really creative sort of things, being a woman, and then in brackets is like being the sun, was the track that came on Friday. It's really, really cool, actually. It's really like,
is it?
It's a nice little upbeat, like little bluegrassy tune. And I think it's kind of American Mother's Day is a different time to when ours is. So I think I think it might be next weekend. So I think that sort of ties in, you know, quite nicely with that. And then obviously the big kind of release wise that we had this weekend coming, Miranda Lambert, 9th studio album, Palomino. So that came out. It's exactly what you expect from a Miranda Lambert album. You look through it, so you know the same people, her crew really, who she's very comfortable with, and wrote a lot of her best stuff. You're seeing, you know, Luke Dick, you're seeing John Randall, you're seeing Jack Ingram, you're seeing Natalie Hemby. Miranda co-produced the album as well with Luke and John Randall. There's obviously, you know, some of the tracks that we heard for the first time during C2C. You had like Acting Up and Should Have Been a Cowboy.
That's the one, yeah.
So you've got those, and so this 15 track album. She co-wrote 14 of them, and the 15th is an old Mick Jagger cover right from the vault, so Wandering Spirit, which was off like one of like Mick's solo album in like the early 90s. So she's done a version of that in there as well. But it's, you know, it's a really cool record. It's, you know, it just sort of shows she's ACM Entertainer of the Year. You know, she's the most decorated female vocalist in country music of all time in terms of like awards won. And this just sort of reiterates and shows kind of all of that, why it still is. And it's like, you know, it's whatever Miranda albums you've loved, it's the things you love about them all of what you love about Palomino. And you know, it's solid, it's strong. I think it's, you know, like everyone would have expected with it. It's just, you know, keep going standard, and it's, you know, you can just stick that on, listen all the way through, some sort of great tracks, and you know, all that. And you know, it's great that we got to hear some of it before anybody else did, really. Just
definitely.
That feels so weird to think that was like 6 weeks ago at C2C.
Yeah, it's nearly 2 months now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's nuts.
Crazy. So elsewhere, music news, Chris Young has announced that he's going to release a deluxe edition of his Famous Friends album. So he released a track on Friday called Everybody Needs a Song, which featured Old Dominion. And the deluxe edition, it's going to have 5 new tracks, a couple of acoustic tracks as well. There's features from Jimmy Allen and from Cassidy Pope. So that kind of, it'll now be a 20-track album, and the artists it features will be Kane Brown, Lauren Elena, Mitchell Tenpenny, and then now Old Dominion, Jimmy Allen, and Cassidy Pope. So it's not bad people to feature on your album, really. And elsewhere, Willie Nelson released his album. And I got to say, I do like the track I Don't Go to Funerals. I thought that was quite a good little track he's released on that one, quite a catchy number as well. And someone we caught up with recently, Jason Benoit out of Canada, he has released his EP called Time Traveler Side A. So that features, 6 tracks. So we spoke with him just before he released Devil in a Bottle. So that EP is now out as well. So we may try and catch up with him in the coming weeks to find out a bit more. So plenty of new music, which as ever, it's all over on our Ready for the Weekend.
And we've nicely left the most exciting of the releases till last, because it has well and truly been worth the wait for brand new music from one of my favorite bands in country music. I think they're definitely one of the best live bands in country music. Really cool guys that I've been lucky enough to kind of catch up with and hang out with twice and things. And they were last over here playing at the Long Road Festival in 2019, where they'd sort of teased they were kind of working on new music and things and started thinking towards it. And then they put a single out on Friday, but the week before there was this wonderful Instagram story sort of documenting about what they've been doing and how it's kind of where things are, and the fact that we now finally have this next project from Lanco like firmly on the way. Low Class Lovers is a song that kind of leads off on this project. Just it's so them. It's like, it's one of those tracks, like, when they're at the best, it's a track you just want to hear live. It's going to sound great. And it's, it's so awesome to see that, those guys are, getting new things on the way. And
they teased us a bit last year, didn't they, with the EP release? Yeah, a little bit last year, but to know there's now a full album coming out, especially like I say, after the success of Hallelujah Nights, that was just incredible.
Yeah, so I really hope it's not too long before they sort of come back, really. But with everybody, it's kind of now we're getting to the stage of being greedy, because it's like we want them to come out, we want them to come back, we want them to come back. And it's kind of like, for a lot of people, obviously, like CMA Fest is, a lot of Brits will be heading over there for the festival and stuff this year. I'm not going this year, planning to go back to Nashville later in the year, tie in cheeky little Dallas Cowboys game at the Nissan Stadium, which would be quite interesting. So let's say I can start to plan that out. And just, going out of season, to be able to catch up with people really and not kind of be sort of rushed where it's like so hot in town as well. So that'll be nice. But, for the meantime, we've got plenty to keep us entertained here really in terms of shows coming this month.
It's going to be a busy one ahead. June, not too much. And then, we've got obviously Buckle and Boots at the start of June. The thing is, it always kind of dies down around July, August anyway, because it is festival season. So I think we've got to look really ahead to kind of October time for a couple of end of year, October, November time, isn't it really? And get those end of year concerts in.
Yeah, it's like some people kind of like sort of think it's like, well, why don't we have like big sort of gigs during the summer and things? And it's like, it's because that's when they play the big shows outside in the States. And it's like, it works on where the pockets are that they can make things work and sort of come over. But we are being well and truly spoiled right now with gigs, and looking ahead, like we've been saying, towards the end of the year, just the fact of knowing what other new releases are on the way this year, just from a music listener standpoint, and the fact that we know we've got tours, there's always going to be more tours going to be announced. And yeah, hopefully not quite as hectic as like May and like the end of August and early September are looking, with just when a lot of people are playing. But good news in regards to venues, Coco has now reopened in London. So that reopened over the weekend, which is fantastic. I think they had a soft launch on Thursday, kind of a more private sort of event on Friday, and like the first sort of like public ticket show went on sale on Saturday. So that's really great to get that venue back.
That's a great little venue, that one.
It's one of the things we struggle with in London, just kind of like those sort of mid-sized venues that kind of just sort of, you're going up from, the 200-300 cap up until you get to like Brixton Hammersmith with a 5k that isn't.
Yeah, that's the thing. There just isn't too many between 1,000 and 5,000, is there? You kind of you have 200-300 venues. You got a couple of 500 person venues. Then there's the odd 1,000. Then suddenly it's jump straight to 5,000, and then after that you're at whatever 14,000, isn't it? I think so.
Yeah, then you get to the big ones. You're at either Royal Albert Hall or you're at
the arena at Wembley, in the O2.
The O2. So yes, that's really positive news for kind of music, and for a lot of people in London. But I think the one thing we obviously haven't addressed has been the really big news that kind of from this weekend, and the very sad and tragic news about Naomi Judd, who is no longer with us. And so that was news that broke on Saturday. Obviously, someone that's had a long battle with mental health, and in the end had depression, unfortunately won that battle. And the day before the Judds, her and her daughter Winona were to be inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, it was really, really, really sad. And I think that obviously a lot of love that you've sort of seen going out from everyone in the industry. And I think if we can take anything out of it, we've sort of seen how that when people are committed to want to see change about certain things in the music industry, it's started to happen. But mental health is something that has not really sort of been something that's open, and it's obviously very difficult and personal for a lot of people to talk about and address in that sort of creative environment. But I really sort of hope that if anything does come from this, obviously someone that was known to be struggling for a very long time, that hopefully that there is some sort of glimmer of hope for other people, that the industry, Nashville itself, country music and the wider music industry can look to make positive changes in regard to mental health.
And I think this is a duo who, in their, they fully deserve their Country Music Hall of Fame induction. They won 5 Grammys, 9 CMAs, 7 ACMs, 20 top 10s, and 14 number 1s in their career. And I think, again, it is, in modern times, I think a lot of people overlook the artists from the 80s and 90s. And I think you're taken over by, and you just hear Johnny Cash and Dolly Parton, and that's about it. And I think a lot of these other acts do kind of almost get forgotten if it wasn't for things like, I say, Country Music Hall of Fame and things. And this is really a weekend of what should have been such a celebration for the Judds and the chance to actually look back at the impact they've had over the decades. And I say it's had, such a shame of how it's gone, but I think it's great to see that they did obviously encourage the event to still happen. The induction,
it's something that people kind of haven't seen. It's it's obviously very, very emotional with her other daughter Ashley Judd, who's an actress. She was there as well, and the two ladies naturally quite upset, and given that and the fact that they still went and did it, and took that deserved place in the Country Music Hall of Fame.
And on that note, we end for the week.
We do end for the week.
Not much sport chat this week.
No, there isn't. I must say, someone had commented, it's like we talk too much about sport.
It's our chance to talk about whatever we want, though. That's our take of this.
It is our chance to talk about everyone. I haven't eaten kind of much random pizza. Oh, I did have pizza yesterday. I say that I haven't, but yeah, there's no. I
don't think you remember much about the gig you went to this week, so we can't really even talk about that.
Oh, I do remember. Oh, yeah, and that's a positive note to kind of end on, I suppose. So yeah, Morgan Way concluded their tour on Thursday night, the Half Moon in Putney. It was wild. It was SJ, who's the lead singer. It was her birthday. It was really, really fun. There were shots involved, and yeah, they're just so good. Like I say it all along, and I'm not ashamed to kind of say it. They're the best UK act. They won deserved duo or group of the year at BCMAs. I don't think there's competition in regard to kind of other bands or duos. I know there's obviously a couple that people will go, well, what about them? They've got kind of all this numbers and things, but if you listen to and you watch them, like what they sort of do and the songs and just the way they are so tight as a 6-piece. In fact, they always perform as a 6-piece. It's just like, you know, they are a different level. And I think that they're definitely, like a lot of other people, like you've got Twinny and you've got Jade Halliwell, you've got Kezia, and, you know, other acts that really, you know, deserves this sort of push to take like what they're doing for the genre here to take it forward, and, you know, are the people that are more appealing to the kind of the wider audience that can possibly, you know, help us take things to a whole new world. It was a random Disney reference to end.
I was going to do a reference of, do you know what football stadium's the other side of the river from the Half Moon at Putney?
What football stadium is on the other side of the river to the Half Moon at Putney?
Oh, it's the one that belongs to the team that won 7-0 today to be champions of the Championship and back in the Premier League.
Back in the Premier League for next year.
Hey, look, we're never going to play Norwich again. Up, down, up, down, up, down.
It'll be fine. You know, the fact that you've got a bloke that scores goals for fun in your league and can't hit a cow's ass with a frying pan in the Premier League, but that's that. So anyway, so we'll be back at some point next week. We're going to have Brett Kissel joining us. We're going to be talking definitely about the Ashley show, probably talking about the Keith show from at least one of us, and I'm trying to think, is there any like really obvious new music we'll be talking about next week? I know one single, but we'll sort of leave because we've got an interview with that.
Yeah, we've got a feature around that one as well, don't we? So yeah, no, looking forward to the month of May. We're in it. It's finally come. It'll be good. There you go. He wasn't drinking at the start, but he's drinking at the end.
No, well, I've stopped now. We're going to say goodbye.
Let me just subtly. Cheers.
Yeah. So I've got mine's not quite as subtle. I'm drinking fizzy pop and you're drinking tea.
Right. We'll see you all next week after a week of our music. Thank you. Good night.
Ciao.